Kenshi, one of the few true sandbox games that provides complete freedom with how you play. This is also one of the highest rated games with overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam and close to perfect reviews on other platforms. It's no wonder this is so highly rated, as the level of detail with how you play and the characters you interact with will have you hooked on this game for hundreds and maybe even thousands of hours. Today I'm going to be sharing 20 tips for beginners to help you with your playthrough. If you enjoy video games, feel free to like and subscribe to see more content just like this. Tip number 1, getting started. So this tip is based off if you do the Wanderer start. If you do another start, it may not apply. So this game starts you off in a ruthless world where it is very easy to die, not just from bandits, wild animals and cannibals, but also from hunger. Your first priority is to start mining ore and scavenging. So you don't need any tools to mine ore, just start mining. When the ore deposit reaches 5, transfer them to your inventory and run back to the closest town to sell them. Then use the cats to buy food and a first aid kit if you don't have one. If you're attacked by bandits or animals, run back to the guards. When the guards kill all the enemies, loot the bodies and sell the gear to the town. You can use this method to save up enough cats or money to buy property, food, better weapons and armour, and maybe add an extra 2 or 3 companions to speed up the process. Tip number 2, finding free recruits. There are unique recruits throughout the world of Kenshi. Some of them are free, which is great when you first start, as you can double and even triple your efficiency when mining ores. They can heal you and carry you to safety when you are injured, and help you battle your enemies. There's a free recruit named Ruka, who almost always spawns in one of the 2 bars in Squin. Other free recruits are Miyu, Dr. Chung and Hamut, who almost always spawn in Shark or Mudtown, which is not far from the hub, your starting position when you're doing the Wanderer playthrough. Tip number 3, keep your team small. You don't want to recruit too many members in the beginning, as you'll end up having them standing around not doing anything and wasting food. So you slowly want to upgrade your team's armour and weapons to suit the role you have for them. This is even more important if you don't have property in a city or you haven't started your own outpost. The exception to this, of course, is if you do find a skeleton character. I recommend recruiting these whenever you can, even if you don't have any use for them at that point in time, as they don't require any food and you can just store them away for later. They are few and far between, so whenever you do find one, I recommend recruiting them, but apart from that, keep your team under about 5 in the beginning. Tip number 4, keep your solo characters fast and light. When you start out and you don't have any other characters, keep your characters fast and light. This means get some light armour and some wooden sandals. You need to be able to outrun large groups of enemies, otherwise you can find yourself enslaved or eaten by wild animals. This is especially important for characters that you send out on scouting missions. Tip number 5, kiting enemies. Kiting enemies is one of the most effective combat strategies for defeating more powerful enemies and larger groups. This is a great strategy for your scout. If you're having trouble clicking the enemies when running away and you keep clicking the floor next to them, causing your character to run towards them, you can pause the game, click the enemy, unpause, wait for your character to fire a shot at them, and then order your character to run away. Repeat this process to cut down the enemy numbers or weaken a more powerful opponent. Tip number 6, remove your bag in certain situations. Remove your bag when you're in combat, sneaking, or trying to run away from enemies. Having a bag on severely lowers your skills. You can load all your items into your bag and simply unequip it to remove any debuff on your stats. Tip number 7, start researching as soon as possible. Start researching as soon as possible and pick a niche, such as farming, weaponsmithing or crafting. Science books and technology are some of the hardest items to find in the game, and you won't find enough straight away to unlock all the research technology. Once the research is unlocked, you'll have a massive advantage for the rest of the game. For example, focusing on farming and then hydroponics will allow you to grow your selected farms indoors in any environment, allowing you to mass produce high quality food to feed your team and sell to settlements. So start researching as soon as you're able and gather research books. Tip number 8, don't overcomplicate your base. When you do start a base, don't try and do it all. Farming, mining, crafting, cooking and brewing, you'll find it will quickly become overwhelming. Adding on to the previous tip, once you've researched the tech you need for your niche, build the required buildings and just focus on defense and producing what you've chosen to produce. As stated before, science books and technology are rare. You can't research everything in the beginning unless you're continuously importing a game. So you can produce average quality items of everything, or you can produce high quality items for your niche, which will maximise your return. Tip number 9, take your time before setting up your first outpost. Starting your own base is a big task. You'll need enough resources to set up walls, power, and your production line, and then you'll need a team large enough and strong enough to defend your base. You will be attacked and approached by various factions demanding some form of tribute depending where you've built your outpost. Instead of rushing in and building a base prematurely, I recommend buying a property in a city or town, build a research bench, start researching technology by adding research books purchased from local vendors. Unlock beds, ore storage, and any other research you plan on using. Build storage for copper and iron and automate your workers to collect. You can also build torches next to the iron and copper deposits to improve the efficiency of mining the ore throughout the night. Now use this time to gather cats to purchase iron plates, building materials, food, and electronics. Upgrade the gear of your characters, their stats, and possibly even expand your team where you can. Here you're protected by powerful city guards and you'll be in a much stronger position to start an outpost when the time comes. Tip number 10, send out a scout as soon as possible. Unless you're using Google to search for locations, you will need a scout to locate towns, ruins, enemies, and vendors. You don't need to send the scout into dangerous ruins, just find them so you can send a team of battle-hardened veterans to clear the ruins and collect all the loot later in the game. This will be your main method to locating science books and research technology throughout the game. Make sure to keep your scout in light armour and fast. They shouldn't be engaging in conflict. Their main job is just to find certain key locations for you. Tip number 11, purchase maps from vendors. Some vendors will sell maps ranging from a few hundred cats up to thousands, and when you right click on them, they'll reveal locations in the world. If you have your money situation under control, you should buy these whenever you get the chance. If you already know the location, it will tell you on the map before you purchase it. This will significantly reduce the workload of your scout so you can focus on forming teams for combat. Tip number 12, use 2 separate groups for combat. One tried and proven combat strategy is to have one group of warriors with heavy armour, high toughness, and their orders set to taunt and block. The second group are all crossbowmen with light to medium armour. Position the crossbowmen at a safe distance. The first group will taunt the enemies and focus on blocking and staying alive, while the crossbowmen cut down the enemy. There are more complex strategies, but when you're just getting started out, this is one good strategy to improve your combat effectiveness. Tip number 13, pick your battles when training your weaker characters. When training combat skills and toughness, avoid attacking animals and factions that are cannibals. If your group loses the battle and you can't get a team there fast enough to save them, they can be eaten even while they're still alive, losing that character forever. Instead, attack bandits or pick a faction to fight against, such as the Holy Nation. You may die, or at worst, you may be enslaved, so there is a chance that you can rescue that character or characters later on. Tip 14, purchase crabs for combat. Crabs are some of the best combat pets you can get in the game. They're great for battling large crowds of weaker enemies, such as Fogmen. They take about 110 days to reach Elder, where they'll have 218 HP for each health bar. They're best used for base defense due to their slow speed and high hunger rate, but they're also great for helping assault a city or town. You can purchase these useful companions from Crabtown towards the east of the map. Tip number 15, location of an easy trade route. There are many different trade routes in the game, and some are RNG based depending on the dynamics of the world. But one well-known route is buying hashish from Shark and the surrounding villages and making your way over to Flat Lagoon to sell for a 400 to 500% markup. You do need to be careful when doing this because there are beak things on the path, as well as a few other dangers. So using a character with high stealth and athletics will work well. You can use a character to run back and forth between the two areas to make large amounts of cats. Tip 16, how to improve strength, stealth and athletics all at once. One great way to level up strength, stealth and athletics is to fill your character's inventory with ore, carry a body and go into sneak mode. Run back and forth in a town. You'll level up all the skills at the same time within the safety of a town. Tip 17, when using stealth, pay attention to small details. One of the things that makes this game great is the attention to detail. When sneaking, remember, the lighting matters, the speed that you're going affects the noise. Shutting a door behind you will muffle the noise of you picking a lock. Even choosing to rob a town in the night during a sandstorm will greatly reduce the chance of being caught. All of these small details matter when using stealth. Tip 18, the lockpicking glitch. You can pick locks through walls and other obstacles. This will keep you out of sight from other NPCs. You can use this in bars and shops and other places where there's normally a lot of NPCs. Just get as close as you can to the lock and then it should work for you. Tip 19, save time with mods. If you're short on time, there are a few mods that can help. There is one in particular called ×5 XP on Nexus, and this increases the rate you gain XP by 500%. This completely removes the grind from the game and allows you to just play. I'll be making a separate video on mods, but it is worth mentioning for players with full-time jobs or parents. I'll leave a link in the description for this mod. Tip number 20, use walls strategically to defend your base. When an enemy is attacking your base, the AI will go for the path of least resistance. This will be an opening in your walls or your gate. You can use this to your advantage to create a killing zone. There are a few ways to do this, but one method is to build your walls extended into water like so, with a clear thin path for mounted crossbows to fire at enemies. The water will slow them down and you can have some troops waiting on shore to destroy the weakened enemies. When you have troops with high turret skill and highly upgraded turrets, you'll crush most enemies attacking your base. So I hope you found this video helpful. If so, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any tips that I may have missed, you can leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and have a good day.